Okay, this is probably going to be one of my quickest videos yet, and it is just covering a new technique, little strategy. I learned this from Ning. Ning showed me it in class for the sign chart. So let's just say we have x plus 4. Keep in mind, I'm making all these up. X minus 3, x plus 1, and then x on the outside, right? Normally, this is a stupid, annoying amount of work. Right, actually, let me add some variety. 3 here, a 2, please, a 2 here, another 2 here. Alright, so this is obviously annoying, because we hate sign charts. But first thing we need to do for every sign chart, even with this technique, is you have to organize everything by numerical values. So -4 is this, -1, that, 0 right here, and a +3. Make sure to put the multiplicity underneath, so that way you don't get tripped up. So M3, M2, we're just looking right here. Right there, right at the exponent. Right, so M2, M2, and then right here, that's M1. So, on the sign chart, -4, that's too close. -1, 0, and 3. How do we do this in an easier way? Well, let's think about how multiplicity works. Now, if you haven't watched my video on 1.5, I definitely recommend you watch it. At least watch the section on multiplicity. It's at the beginning. It's very easy to see. Once you watch that, come back, because one thing we learned about multiplicity is that the part of the function where the 0 is resembles the degree it is. So if we have x squared, then that means x squared looks like this, right? And if x squared is what's forming a 0, then it's going to look like this somewhere, right? And if we have x cubed and it's forming a 0, it's going to look like this. If we have x to the first power, it's going to look like this, right? That we've learned this. So what you want to do is you want to take so we're going to start as positive. Now, -4. This is, the multiplicity is 3. 3, right? So as we cross, as if this were a function, as we cross -4 on the x-axis, so let's say right here, what does the function look like? Looks like a cubic function, so it would look something like that. Like that, right? So we're definitely crossing over to the other side, which means we're going from positive to negative, or we're going from negative to positive. So we switch the sign. Now let's try -1. Now what's interesting about -1 is it's a square. So I don't know where we are, but it's going to resemble a parabola. And what's nice about parabolas is they just touch and bounce back. You may be asking yourself, why? How do we know it doesn't just go through? Well, that's because it would make 2 zeros. And that would just be the 0 of an x1 and another 0 of an x1. Because it just goes straight through, right? So it's going to bounce if it's a degree of 2. So if it bounces, it stays negative. So we just keep the sign. What about 0? 0, same thing. Multiplicity 2, it's going to bounce. Keep the sign. 3, multiplicity 1. Multiplicity 1 looks like it just goes through, which means if it punches through, we switch sign. See the pattern here? Now, that is how it works. the rule to remember, now that you know how it works, is if the multiplicity is even, do not change the sign. -1, multiplicity is even, do not change sign. 0, multiplicity, even, do not change the sign. See? Like that. However, -4 and 3 have odd multiplicities, 1 and 3. Doesn't matter, because if we think about it, when we have an odd multiplicity, or really just an odd exponent at all, we go infinitely in both directions. But if we have even, we go infinitely in one direction. So that's our rule. So if x of n, if n is even, well, I can't spell, even, keep sign. If n is odd, flip the sign. All you gotta do. So let's try another one. So let's do x cubed, x plus 5, x minus 1, x plus 2. And now I'm making up all the values here. Like, these are all coming just straight out of my butt. Right? So, greater than 0. And now for this one, let's actually solve the inequality. So, we need to find intervals that are greater than 0, which means they're positive. Okay. Well, let's make our sign chart. So we start with the smallest one, -5, 5, -2, 0, and 1. Now what we start with on the left side is the coefficient.
Now, I would say we start with the coefficient, but that was an old video. That was from a week ago. And this is future Gavin. We have realized, me and my team have realized that you have to do that test value that I mentioned earlier. That was spliced in as well. This is just an update to the strategy. It does not make the strategy obsolete. It just makes you have to consider a little bit more. But other than that little fix, it is otherwise normal. Just to start off, you plug in a test value, so that way you don't have to worry about odd, even, denominator. It doesn't matter. Just plug in a value, and then you'll get it right. Back to the video.
That we start with, so positive. That. Now let's see. -5. That's right here. Even or odd. That's odd, which means we flip. -2. Even or odd. That's even, so we keep. 0. Even or odd. That's odd, so we flip. 1. Even. We keep. See how simple that is? It makes it so much faster. So, but what's really important is that you understand how it works. Because just doing the technique, you have to really know what makes it work for it to be valuable, you know? So now we need to find what's greater than 0. Well, this is greater than 0. And this is greater than 0. Right? So we have negative infinity, comma, -5, and then the funny little combination thing, 0, comma, infinity.
Is actually wrong. And now the reason for that, I covered it in the study guide, is because you have to be greater than 0. And at the point x equals 1, which I included in that interval, because 0 to infinity includes 1, 1 is y equals 0. And it says it has to be greater than 0. It cannot equal 0. So the real interval that we would have as our answer is negative infinity, comma, -5, that's fine. And then 0, comma, 1. And then 1, comma, infinity. So that's the actual correct answer. And I'm sorry about all these updates. I just want to give you the most accurate video possible. Let me know. I'm probably going to reshoot this, but this is just a temporary fix for now. Thank you for understanding.
That's it. That's all there is to it. Very, very simple. Saves you a lot of time. Yeah. I recommend practicing it on some problems in your packet that maybe that you've already done, but just practice it. Make sure it works and that you get your same answers, and it'll work really well for you. That's it though. Yeah.